hit a few things versus man, hit a few things versus zone down the field. So if we can keep mixing it up like that and running the ball effectively, we should be good.
We talked about our record at 2-3 is certainly not where we expected to be or wanted to be, but the perspective is that's where we are, and we got work to do in all three phases.
We got, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett, Matt Forte. We got a stud offensive line. I mean, we got a great group of guys, and this is unacceptable. What did we put up? 14 points? Was it 14 points? That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
22 for 28, 4 touchdowns in a rout in Chicago. The Bears pass rush not only couldn't pressure Rodgers, it didn't record a single quarterback hit all afternoon.
Guy Jay Cutler. What is it here? An interception, 20 for 30, no impact whatsoever. Jay Cutler is a complete waste of time. It is time for the city of Chicago and the Chicago Bears to get a new quarterback. This man is stealing.
I think they're stuck.
Listen. This man
they just recommitted to
is stealing money.
And those are a collection of some of some memorable press conferences from the year, different highlights. You guys are listening to the Bearscast. I'm here with my co-host Andrew McCulloch.
Hello, Bears fans.
And obviously, I'm Ethan Cowgill. We're broadcasting live from the basement in the studio at North Campus here at Quincy University. We're going to be talking to you for the next 30 minutes about Chicago Bears football. Andrew, we didn't have a game last week, but let's kind of go over where the Bears stand, how the NFC North is looking for the Chicago Bears. Right now, this past week actually was just kind of a big bye week for everybody in the NFC North except for Minnesota, who played, and we'll get to them here in a second. Detroit still stands atop of the division at 6-2, followed by Green Bay at 5-3. Minnesota moves into third place after they beat Washington, who had Robert Griffin III come back and start for them. Minnesota won that game 29, Washington 26. Teddy Bridgewater had a decent game, 26 for 42, 268 yards passing, along with one passing touchdown. Minnesota sacked Robert Griffin III 5 times that game. And then sitting at the bottom of the division, the Chicago Bears at 3-5. How do you feel about this development?
Well, it's surprising to see Minnesota spoil Robert Griffin III's return and pick up a big win for them. We went over this last week. Like I said, Minnesota, they may not have all that talent. Adrian Peterson's missing, just pleaded guilty, or he's going to plead guilty for his charges, but that is completely irrelevant to this. Minnesota, they keep working hard. I mean, they don't have a lot of talent, but they're right there, just one game under 500. And, the Bears have a big game this weekend against Green Bay at Lambeau. We'll see how it goes. We could tie them in third place, or we could sit there and last again. It's just, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, at least Adrian Peterson is being transparent. I'd like to see Mark Trestman come out and plead guilty for being an unapologetic Jay Cutler lover. Let's be honest here.
That's a great segue.
I'm going to put him on trial here. Mr. Mark Trestman, do you love your quarterback? He does. I mean, the whole year he's just been apologizing for Jay Cutler. He hasn't put any blame on him. I think it's time for him to come out and tell us what's the deal here.
Is this any different than Lovie Smith saying Rex is our quarterback, though? I mean, Lovie Smith went to hell and back to defend Rex Grossman as well, saying he's our quarterback, we're standing with Rex, our defense can win the football games. Mark Trestman's doing the same thing. What is Mark Trestman supposed to do at this point? Is he supposed to say Jay Cutler is terrible, he sucks, and drain any confidence that Jay Cutler may or may not have? I mean, as a coach, you have to support your players, and as a front office, you have to stick with your coach. through trying times. It is, we're going through some struggles right now. We're a lot better than our record shows. But it's evident to me that the front office is going to stay with Trestman. And, obviously they should throughout the year. If we continue to play bad through this next 8 games, then maybe we should reevaluate our situation in the offseason. But as of right now, you have no choice but to support Jay Cutler, support Mark Trestman, and just hope for the best for the Bears. I mean, as a fan, that's really all we can do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the front office has committed to Jay Cutler with the contract that he was given.
That's absolutely right.
And Mark Trestman, I mean, I think he's a little bit more – there's obviously less of a commitment towards Trestman. I think he's more flexible. I mean, he's more susceptible to being gone from the team next year versus Jay Cutler if the Bears underperform like they have been through the first half of the season. But even then, that's kind of looking a little far ahead here. So, the Bears at the bottom of the division, I don't think necessarily it's all Jay Cutler's fault. If you look at his whole stats, he's had a pretty good season so far.
You're right. Jay Cutler, he's just made a few throws that if he could take back, our record could be a little different. Maybe not. But the thing is, with Jay, you would come to expect that. His stats have shown that he has played better this year than he did last year. He's thrown for more touchdowns. His completion percentage is even higher. I believe around last year was around low 60%. He's up to 67% this year. He's improved. He's just, I think what really bugs Bears fans is the timing of his mistakes. They've come at crucial points in the game, and they have really kind of maybe not been the reason we've lost games, but they've been paramount to why we have lost.
Yeah, definitely some missed opportune turnovers have cost us some games, and just games that we should not have lost, like against Buffalo. There's no way we should have lost that game. Carolina's a game that we should have won. Just a lot of, and when you don't beat teams that you should, and then this upcoming week we got to play Green Bay at Lambeau. That's where it's going to kill you, because it's not a game that you would think that the Bears could pull out on the road against a Packers team that's been picking up steam lately. But before we kind of get into next week, as we said earlier, the Bears were on the bye, and a weekend without Bears football.
I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of nice to just relax and watch football, and not have to worry about how my team was going to screw it up. It was stress free. It was nice to see just some good football games. It was really fun to watch Tom Brady throw all over Denver's defense. It was a great show of play by New England there. And this week with the Bears, we'll see how things play out. But as you said, let's kind of go over.
Well, hold on, before you get onto that, you talked about the New England and Denver game. Battle of every soccer mom's favorite quarterback, either Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
You're not lying.
Here's what women who like football, they have 3 quarterbacks that they like: Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees.
Really?
That's every girl. I see. I notice a lot of girls, whether they're as I said, soccer moms, or our age, college girls, they love. Those are their 3 quarterbacks. They'll root for the teams, but they don't know anyone else on the team except for the quarterback.
All right. Well, the funny thing about that is that my sister Natalie, shout out, is a big fan of Green Bay, and we have a bet on the line this week for the Green Bay game. We'll get into that later, but she's actually very educated fan of Green Bay. She only started watching last year, but she knows the players. My sister Brooklyn is a fan of the Eagles. She doesn't really have a quarterback like you were saying, but I agree 100%. I know plenty of girls that are Team Brady, Team Manning. I haven't heard Breeze. I thought you were gonna say Aaron Rodgers. I'm not gonna lie, because I know a lot of girls love Aaron Rodgers. The discount double check commercials. That's a quarterback I would pick over Breeze. Maybe a lot of people like Drew Brees too. He's a stand-up guy and he's a great quarterback.
Yeah, and maybe the Drew Brees might be a little bit outdated because the Saints they're not necessarily irrelevant, but they've taken some steps back.
They also took a huge step up against Green Bay at home.
Yeah,
in Sunday Night Football the other night.
Yeah, or 2 weeks ago.
And they beat Carolina again Thursday.
Yeah, so they're looking like they've
won 2 in a row. They're looking up, and with that division being so bad, it just so happens that they're right there at the top.
Absolutely. So we can look forward to more women purchasing Drew Brees jerseys here in the upcoming year as the Saints do better. But yeah, a weekend, no Bears football. It's nice to be able to just not have that stressor. Now you can just worry about your fantasy football team. You can stress out about that.
Pull out the W. First place.
All right. But in Chicago sports in general, a lot of stuff going on. You had Joe Madden signing with the Cubs. Huge for the Cubs franchise. Let's hope so. Let's hope that they can kind of turn that boat around and they can start developing some young players.
I don't know if you saw any of his press conference yesterday, but I did get a chance to watch it. And that man can command a room. He is going to have the attention of all the players' locker rooms. He's a great personality, and I think he will be a great fit for the Cubs. He's going to help our young guys really transition well into the majors. And he's going to help them develop well into really good players. And, I think we're going to take a big step up next year. I think we'll contend a little bit. I don't know if I'd go playoffs yet. It's hard to as a Cub fan.
It's hard to make. It's hard to
get finished last or, right next to the Astros for the last 5 years in the division. But, yeah, you're right. A lot of things going on in the world of Chicago sports. The Blackhawks are kind of struggling a little bit. Crawford's going to be back in front of the net with the Bulls. We had an injury scare for last Friday night with Rose.
Gibson.
They both have sprained ankles. Gibson has one sprained ankle, and Rose actually has two sprained ankles, but they are both likely to play tonight. So that's a good sign for Bulls fans.
Tuesday.
Yes, on Tuesday tonight. I'm sorry. We're doing this on Tuesday, folks. But, I think we have a lot of talent in Chicago. It's just playing up to that talent and up to the expectations of the fans, because the Bears, Bulls fans, and Chicago fans in general are some of the most passionate fans you'll ever see in your entire life, and we expect nothing but the best, and that's just how we are.
Chicago will reward you if you perform well. That's one thing that you'll always you will not put out a winning team in a Chicago city and not get a good turnout. I think that's been proven time and time again. So let's kind of transition here, looking ahead to this upcoming week for the Bears, who take on Green Bay, Lambeau Field, Wisconsin, Cheeseheads all around. Let's kind of get into this because this is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be the last meeting between the Bears and the Packers in the regular season. Green Bay took the first game 38-17 at Soldier Field, where the Bears remain winless. How do you see this game playing out?
This is a tough one to predict for me. This might surprise you. I've gone back and forth on this one because I've been watching a lot of just just interviews with the players this week coming off their bye week, and they seem to have reflected over what went wrong and what they're going to do better, and what they see on film, and how they're going to correct all the mistakes that they've made on defense, mainly the defensive guys. Specifically, I saw Ryan Mundy just saying, we've been reflecting, we've been trying to understand what we're doing wrong, we're going to get into the film on Wednesday, and we're going to make a game plan. It's just about executing. They haven't been able to execute. My head tells me that the Packers are going to win easily. But obviously, as a Bears fan, I want to say it's going to be more of a match. I think it will be more competitive than people think, even though it's in Green Bay. But we'll have to see. Right now, I think I'm going both ways on this. It's tough.
It's your heart between your head.
That's right.
It's difficult, but sometimes you just you have to listen to your head. And my head's telling me that the Bears are they're probably. I feel like they're gonna get destroyed. I don't want them to get destroyed. I can't deal with it. I can't go to school and see bandwagon Packer fans around campus knowing that they're, disingenuous fans, but their team is killing my team. It's just going to destroy my heart. But I'm preparing for a big Bears loss.
Well, the thing is, the Packers' offensive line is not as good as it has been in the past, and if that's how you have to attack them. Our defensive line is going to have to get to Aaron Rodgers, or else we won't win this game. It's not even going to be close. And Aaron Rodgers is very good at getting the ball out at the right time, unlike our quarterback. But if the Bears are going to win this game, that's the one thing that they're going to have to get into, that weakness that Green Bay has, and that's their pass protection. They're starting to build a running game a little bit too. Eddie Lacy's he's not Matt Forte, I don't think, but he's a good running back. He can get the yards. He's a big guy. He's a bruiser. He's going to plow through our guys and get as many yards as he can. That's just the kind of running back he is. Kind of like kind of how maybe a Marshall Faulk was back in the day. And by no means am I comparing him to Marshall Faulk, but that's just kind of where I'm going with that. But, I mean, you're right. Green Bay is such a talented team. They're lethal. They have a lot of weapons on offense. Their defense is playing okay, but they got obliterated against New Orleans. Drew Brees just threw all over them, and Mark Ingram ran all over them. Both of those guys had big games.
Well, and to that point, the Packers defense. Let's kind of go over this Packers defense, which has been an Achilles heel for this team for years. They rank last. 32nd, last in the NFL in rushing yards per game. They're giving up over 150 rushing yards per game. And I think that right there is a startling weakness. And I hope Mark Trestman finally commits to the run this week.
If he can't see that they're that bad on running defense and rushing defense, and he continues to give the ball to Jay Cutler and say, hey, buddy, keep throwing it, then they deserve to lose this game.
I want to know, does Mark Trestman have Jay Cutler on his fantasy football team? That's the only thing that could explain the amount. Just run the ball. Just run the ball. I mean, we have Matt Forte. He's Matt Forte. He's great, obviously. He's got over 560 yards on the season, 4.3 yards per attempt, only 130 attempts so far, although he is also catching the ball a lot, so he's being utilized a lot as well.
Midseason MVP.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question about it on the Bears team right now. Matt Forte's been the midseason MVP, leading the team in rushing yards and receiving and receptions, rather. And then Kadeem Carey, who's also been very good. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry on 28 attempts, 130 yards. He can run the ball as well. He's a rookie. He's got young legs. He's fresh.
I love that pick. It was a steal in the 4th round, I thought. I watched a little bit of. I don't watch a lot of college football. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I did see him play a little bit for Arizona, and he was a guy that could really break some tackles. I mean, he was good. He'd get you your yards. He's been getting us yards. He's been spotting Forte well. I mean, it's not like he's getting 2 yards a carry. He's playing pretty well. I mean, Yeah,
absolutely. When they're given the chance to run the ball, they can do it. The problem is that Mark Trestman likes to get too cute. He likes to call too many screens, or he likes to do too many reverse end arounds to Jeffrey, or just plays that stifle drives.
I think the screen has just gotten, it's too obvious.
Yeah.
Because the Bears have ran it just way too much. I saw it a lot against the game with New England, and New England was anticipating the screen almost every other 5 plays.
And they don't have to go to the screen. They have a lot of great receivers. They don't have to always use Matt Forte. I think they over-rely on him in the passing game too much. Throw it to Jeffrey, or Marshall or Martellus Bennett, any of those guys, utilize those guys as well. So, I think rushing the ball is going to be important and the Packers. Let's talk about the Bears defense, who are giving up, they're 29th in the league. So there's only 3 teams worse at giving up points. Bears giving up 27.8 points per game. They rank at the bottom of the league in total, near the bottom half, rather, giving up over 370 yards per game and over 260 yards per game. Those are about 23rd and 21st in the league, respectively. So, but the rushing defense has been okay. But again, teams were able to pass on them, so they're not really needing to run as much. So I think, it's all about stopping Aaron Rodgers. Can the Bears do it? Typically, the answer is no. We'll see how that goes. I mean, what do you think is going to be the key to stopping Aaron Rodgers this week?
Like I already said, you got to get to him. You have to attack the Green Bay offensive line. Our pass rushing is going to have to be at its A game. I'm calling you out, Jared Allen. Willie Young, keep playing as well as you have been. Your 7 sacks. We're going to need a few more Sunday night. The Bears have to get to Aaron Rodgers. The coverage has to be outstanding on Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. You can't let them run all over the field. Can't let them get big gaps open-wise. I mean, hard for me to put that into words. You can't let them get into the middle That's where they attack best. Our linebackers aren't the greatest. Lance Briggs is probably not even going to play.
Yeah, he's doubtful. He's doubtful.
So, I mean, with that, it's just the same old with Green Bay. I mean, the only way we're going to win is if we get to Aaron Rodgers and stop their offense from scoring 40-plus points against us.
Can Shea McClellan pull off another Monday Night Miracle and break Aaron Rodgers' collarbone again? Because that's the only way I can foresee the Bears winning this game is if Aaron Rodgers goes down with an injury early on in the game.
Last year it happened. I don't think necessarily even Aaron Rodgers has to get hurt for the Bears to win this game. I don't think it's that far out of the question. We're not the 0-16 Lions from a few seasons back. We're not that bad. We have talent.
I hope not.
We haven't executed well. There's no doubt in my mind that the Chicago Bears, if they execute their game plan, they can keep up with Green Bay. They can make it a good game. They could even, by God, a miracle, squeak out a win.
Oh, my.
It's not impossible.
I mean, it feels like it because we came off such a poor performance against New England that a win against the Green Bay seems out of the question at the moment.
A bye could not have come at a better time.
Maybe. I mean, maybe this will be maybe that's the wake-up call the Bears needed. You get a bye week. You get to work out some things. And you recover. And if you can win against Green Bay, maybe you completely change the momentum of the season and you go on a big win streak and maybe make the playoff. I mean, who knows?
Maybe this is me just trying to hope for a Bears win so I can actually get back in and interested in Chicago Bears football again, because right now I'm so uninterested because I feel like we have no chance at making the playoffs. And why should I be interested in a team that continues to lose games by over 20 points? It's frustrating to me. Or losing to teams that we should beat, like Buffalo. I mean, I'm not going to put Miami in that category because Miami is a lot better than people think. They just absolutely destroyed the Chargers. That was kind of surprising. But Miami's not a joke. We shouldn't have lost to Buffalo, though. We barely beat the Jets. Who else have we lost to? The Panthers. That's the one I'm thinking of. The Panthers. That's another game that if Jay Cutler could have had a few throws back, we may or may not have won. I mean, but we would have had a better chance, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time we start executing better. Is that too much to ask?
It seems like it. I mean, I think my big worry this week against Green Bay is going to be how that offensive line holds up, because Green Bay is going to bring pressure, and that's going to that's a young offensive line in certain spots.
And by no means has that offensive line been very good this year. And I'm talking about Chicago.
Absolutely, it's been inconsistent after having a great year last year. They've been a little bit shaky. They've had some injuries. Jordan Mills. What is that his name? Jordan Mills. He needs to be better so I can remember his name. He needs to stop giving up so many penalties. I mean, he's looking like Gabe Carimi almost.
Oh, good Lord.
Not nearly as bad. I mean, but,
Off topic, how bad was Gabe Carimi for the Atlanta game against the Bears?
Oh, my Lord.
How many false starts did he have? Like 2 or 3, maybe? Even holding penalties, too?
It's so great to be able to hear Gabe Carimi get called for a penalty, and I don't have to get upset about it anymore. Because
you can actually cheer for it.
I get excited about it because he doesn't play for the Bears anymore. Oh, man, that was not a great pick by...
But, I mean, first of all, our offensive line hasn't been healthy. I mean, Matt Slauson's out for the year. Roberto Garza probably isn't really even healthy either. It's just it's hard to have 2 of your big leaders on the offensive line out and perform well. It's kind of just the same with Lance Briggs being injured, with Peanut Tillman being injured. It's hard for some guys to step up when your leaders can't be on the field.
Absolutely. And the Bears are already absent in the leader department as it is. Let's talk about let's kind of get a concrete prediction here. What do you think the motto is going to be for the Bears to win this game?
Matt Forte, and a little bit of more Matt Forte, and getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely. I'm feed Forte. Feed him. I know we talked about specifically though in the rushing game. I know we talked about the passing game. Let's scale that back and let's up the carries a bit more and get Kadeem Carey involved. Let Carey carry the ball. Get it?
Nice pun.
That's-
Okay, but let me interrupt you here real quick. What the Bears really have to do is they have to establish the run game with Forte and even carry. Sure, give him some carries, like you said. But when we establish the run game, it puts less pressure on Jay Cutler and it keeps the defense on their toes. We've been passing the ball way too much that teams are dropping into coverage and they're expecting us to throw, and it's leading into double coverages, and Jay Cutler has no fear. He plays with no fear. It's admirable, yet kind of dumb at the same time because he keeps throwing interceptions because he keeps throwing into double coverage.
Yeah.
Well, if you run the ball and you run it effectively and you establish the run game, teams are going to be more prone to stopping Matt Forte on the running game. It's going to open up passing lanes for the Bears, and that's going to create offense. I don't know if Mark Trestman realizes that, but we certainly do as Bears fans, and that's how you have to attack on offense against this Green Bay team. Then you have to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers on the defensive side, and you can't allow the big plays to Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. You see one or two big plays, the 65-yard touchdown passes to like the Randall Cobbs or the Jordy Nelsons every game for Aaron Rodgers. You can't let that happen. You have to keep the plays to medium gains, short gains, and that's how you beat Green Bay. That's how I've seen teams beat Green Bay. That's how I've seen even the Bears beat Green Bay. You know, that's just how you have to execute. One word, Bears, execute. That's how you win.
Absolutely. Run it on 3rd and 1. Run it on 3rd and 1, Trestman, please. That's all I ask. No flea flickers on 3rd and 1. No Hail Marys. Just a nice halfback dive up the middle. Let's get those first downs.
Give me your prediction.
All right. Let's see. I'll give you a score here. I think I have to go with my head here. I got to be smart. I'm gonna say I think Aaron Rodgers is just gonna be too much for the Bears, for an aching Bears defense. I'm gonna go 35 Green Bay, Bears 21.
All right. To get back to this little bet that I made, Natalie. If the Bears win, Andrew gets a prize. We're not going to go into that. It's between me and Natalie.
I'll figure it out.
But I'll tell you after. But if the Packers win, oh man, I got to wear an Aaron Rodgers jersey and get a picture taken of me and put on Facebook so the entire public's going to know about it.
The entire city of Quincy.
So this is why I'm picking the Bears to win.
He's a desperate man.
28-24. And because I feel like it's time to execute. So there you have it, Bears fans. Those are our predictions. We'll see how it turns out.
All right. I want to thank Andrew here for being with me, Andrew McCulloch. I'm Ethan Cowgill. And we're going to be signing off here from the campus at the North Campus here in the basement of the studio, and as always, Bears fans, bear down.
Please win.